Welcome back everyone to part 4 of the Sunshine Kisses and Fairy Wishes Cal. This section was contributed by our beautiful tester Mary and it's called Follow the Leader. Let's get to work. Now part 4 begins on the wrong side. It says join with the wrong side facing up, which is where my across the mile section finished. So I have a colour on my hook here. And what we need to do is join into the first stitch with a standing single crochet. So just flip it over to find your first stitch. That's my knot that I knotted up the end of the yarn with. So that's not a stitch. That's my stitch there. Okay, so I need to join into those loops. Do you see? Right there. Not in my knot. Okay, so we're making a single crochet, so pull the yarn through, take out the slack, yarn over, pull through both loops, and that's the first single crochet done. And that's all we've got to do all the way down. Single crochet all the way down the row, giving you a total of 216 single crochet as many times before. And then at the end, we just have to make a chain 2 and turn. So I'll meet you there and we'll start row 2. All right, see you in a short time. Right, so row 1 ended here, and I just want to make sure that you didn't add an extra single crochet into your turning chains and that you just finished with a chain 2 and turned. So we are now back to the front of our work as the pattern tells us. There's my little loop of thread that tells me that I'm on the right side now. Now the first thing we need to do is realize that the chain 2 counts as our first double crochet. And now we need to make 1 double crochet in each of the next 4 stitches. So the first one is done because it's got a chain in it. So 1 double crochet in each of the next 4. 2, 3 and 4. One more, there we go. That's it. Now that's the setup. So now our repeat begins. It says chain 1. Skip 1 stitch and 1 double crochet in the next 5 stitches. So skip the next stitch and 1 double crochet in the next 5. And that's all you're going to do all the way down. Chain 1, skip a stitch, double crochet in the next 5 stitches. That's pretty simple until you get to the end. When you get to the end, you should have I think it's, 7 stitches left. So you've got to be careful here because the repeat is 34 times. Alright, so we do this 34 times. When you get to the end, you should have 7 stitches left. I need you to have 7 left. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So your 5th, the last repeat and the 5th double crochet should end here. We will then chain 1, skip 1, and put a double crochet in the last 6 stitches. So your side will begin with 5, which incorporates that chain 2 or a standing double crochet if you made it, but it will end with 6 down this end. So I'll just get myself to here and we'll reconvene. And so to my immense relief, I've arrived at the other end with 7 stitches remaining. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and my starting or standing single crochet on the end makes 7. So you need that chain 1 again, and you need to skip 1 stitch, and then you need to put 1 double crochet in each of the last 6. So you started with 5, represented by either a chain 2 or a standing start, plus 4 more, and you finish with 6. Okay, straight 6 double crochet, like that. And at the end it says we need a chain 1 and turn. And now we're ready for row 3, and we are back on the reverse side of the work because my beautiful little blue thread is underneath. So I'm on the right side and ready for row 3. I hope you've got that ready. We'll reconvene in a second. Row 3 is relatively straightforward. We start with a single crochet in that first stitch that has the chain 1 in it. So that one right there, just a single crochet in there. And then a single crochet in each of the next 5. So effectively you're putting 1 single crochet into each of those double crochet that we finished up with, and if you remember we finished up with 6 of them. So there needs to be a total of 6 single crochet here, even though that one's a little bit funky because I accidentally pulled my loop. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, now we're going to do the repeat. it's chain 1, skip the chain 1, and put a single crochet in each of the next 5 stitches. So it's basically a repeat of the previous row, in the sense that we're going to be making the same stitch work, except this time we're going to be using single crochet, 1 in every one of the double crochet. So make sure you get every single one of those double crochet. You need the 5. And then we'll make a chain 1, bridge the chain 1 down below, and continue on with 5 single crochet again. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Simple. Chain 1 and start again all the way down. Okay, and then when you get to the last section here, because your repeat ends with the 5 here, so when you get to the last, you're going to do one final chain 1, skip that chain space again, and put 1 single crochet in each of the last 5 stitches, and remembering that this one, if it's a chain 2, you need to go into the top of your chain 2. There's chain 1, there's chain 2 right in there. You need to get into there for your 5th, all right? But I'll wait for you here and we'll go around together. Okay, so here we are at the other end with a final chain 1, a final skipping of the chain 1, and then the 5 single crochet. That's 2, 3, get in there, 4, and into the top of my chain 2, because I started with the chain 2 in the previous row, right? You must not forget that chain 2. And then all we need to do is chain 2 and turn, and then we're ready for row 4. Okay, get yourselves ready and we'll catch up then. Row 4 has quite an extensive note. There are 2 intricate stitches, it tells us, in this round. One of them is called the front post treble crochet dash double crochet together. Now I know that's a big name, but there's a reason for it, and you'll see as we make the stitch. The other is basically the reverse of that. It's the double crochet dash front post treble crochet together. Now there's the same components in the stitch, but they're done in reverse order, so we have to be aware of where we are at which point so that we know we're making the right stitch. But we'll work through them together. The other thing is that it tells us that the double crochet front post treble will hide the first stitch after it, so we need to pay close attention, make sure we catch the hidden stitch behind it. Okay, so let's get on with it and get started. Now the chain 2 counts as our first double crochet, and we need to make 1 double crochet in each of the next 3 stitches. So it's 1, 2, 3. That will bring us to the final single crochet that's in front of our chain space. All right, so 3 more double crochet, which gives us effectively a set of 4 at the start. That's the second one, and that's my third one. So with my chain 2, that's 4. Okay. Now we have to start with the first front post treble crochet double crochet together. So now what we're going to do, because we're starting with the front post treble, we make 2 yarn overs, it's a treble, and we go back down to the 3rd double crochet below, 1, 2, and 3. We go around the post, it's a front post treble, okay, and we pull up a loop. That gives us 4 loops on the hook. We're going to yarn over and pull through 2 of them twice, so that we have 2 loops left on the hook. Okay, that's the first part of that. Now we're going to yarn over 1 time, and we're going to go into the single crochet, that last single crochet that we left free before our chain space right here. We are going to make a double crochet into it. Okay, it's not a post stitch, it's just a regular stitch. We're going to yarn over, because now we've got 4 loops again, we're going to pull through 2 only, and then we're going to yarn over and pull through all the 3 remaining loops on our hook. So what have we done here? Let's take a closer look, and it might make sense why it's named the way it is. So the first component of our stitch was a front post treble going down into the 3rd of these 5 double crochet below. Okay, but we didn't finish that stitch, we held on to the last loops, remember, and then we immediately put a double crochet into that final single crochet, mimicking the other double crochet, but this one is part of this stitch here. Okay, so we finish there. So that's why it's called front post treble double crochet together, because we make the treble first and then the double crochet. Okay, all right, let's move on. Now we're going to start our full repeats all the way down the row. So it starts with a chain one and skip the chain one space. So that's that chain one that we made between the single crochet. All right, so it's 2 chain one spaces here now, one there and one there. Okay, and now we're going to make the double crochet front post treble, so the reverse version of the stitch, using the next stitch, which is, because these blue hints are brilliant because they tell you exactly what stitches you're using. So then using the next stitch, which is that first single crochet of the next group of 5, right, and the third double crochet after the chain one. 1, 2, 3. So basically the middle double crochet will take the treble, the post treble, and the first single crochet will get the double. So we start with a yarn over and we start a double crochet into that first stitch after the chain space, but we don't complete it because it's a together stitch here, it's a decrease stitch. So it was a yarn over, I'll do it again, pull up a loop, yarn over and pull through 2. That's my incomplete double crochet. Now we're going to do the treble component. 2 yarn overs, come down to the middle one, front post treble, pull up a loop. We've now got 5 loops on the hook, yarn over and pull through 2 twice. That leaves me 1, 2, 3 loops on the hook, yarn over and pull through all of them. So that actually shows that we did exactly the reverse now of what we did here. So over here we have the front post treble first with the double crochet second as one stitch. And over here we started the double crochet first with the front post treble as the second component of that stitch. There's a chain one in between them, and that chain one bridged the chain one below between the single crochet and the chain one below between the double crochet. So we've now got 3 chain ones stacked up on top of each other. Moving on, we now have to make 1 double crochet in each of the next 3 stitches. So we've got to find, remember the hint said the first one will be hidden. So the first one is behind. It's right there. We used that one for the part of the front post, the double crochet front post treble. So it's this one here. We need a double crochet in that one. And the next one, because it says 3 stitches. And the next one. Now look closely at the placement. That leaves us 1 more single crochet right here before we reach the chain space. Okay, there's your last single crochet, which is exactly what happened over here. We left 1 single crochet so that we can make this together stitch here. And now we have to do it over here. So we use the first single crochet of the group of 5 for this stitch. Then we put a double crochet in each of the next 3, and we leave the last one for the next one of these that we're about to make. Alright, and that's the end. The last thing we have to do for this repeat is now a front post treble double crochet together. So let's do that. Yarn over. But now this is the difference from what we did at the beginning, because we're going to go back through the same 3rd stitch that we put this stitch into. Okay, so back around that very same stitch. Yarn over and pull through 2 twice. Yarn over again, and now we're going to go into that final single crochet before the chain space and do the double crochet. Yarn over and pull through 2 and stop, and ending up with 3 loops. Yarn over, pull through everything. So what we've done is that we have overlapped the first one with the second one on the same, around the same double crochet. Moving on, let's do another repeat. So we start with a chain 1 where the bold square bracket is. Chain 1, skip the chain 1 space. So there's my chain 1 space above my other chain 1 space. Okay, and we're starting the double crochet front post treble together in the next stitch, which is the single crochet on the other side of the chain space. It's right in here. Okay, that's the stitch there. Okay, so we start with the double crochet. So yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2. So that's my incomplete double crochet. Now I need 2 yarn overs for the the treble component. It's a front post treble down through the middle stitch of that group of 5 double crochet. Pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2 twice. That leaves me 3 loops on my hook, yarn over and pull through all of them. Okay, so that's the first section now done. Right, so the next thing is to not miss the stitch behind and make 3 double crochet across. So the stitch behind is right there. You can see the loops of it behind your treble stitch. So come in behind it, grab the first one, that's 1, one more, that's 2, and one more makes 3. And that leaves my final single crochet free right here. And so now we're going to make the other stitch. We start with the treble component, so front post treble, 2 yarn overs, come back around that 3rd double crochet below exactly where we did the other treble, yarn over, pull through 2 twice and stop. Yarn over, come into the last single crochet before the chain space. There's my chain space, there's my the back of my single crochet. Pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, 3 loops on the hook, yarn over, pull through all 3. And that's the end of the repeat. So that's all you're going to be doing all the way down, so that you end up with these front post trebles like this across. Right? They go into the same middle double crochet down below. Shall I do one more? Okay, chain 1, skip chain 1 space, front post double crochet using the next stitch, which is the one after the chain space. It's right there, the double crochet component holding 2 loops on the hook. Yarn round twice to the 3rd one of that group of 5 double crochet below, yarn over, pull up a loop and yarn over, pull through 2 twice, leaving 3 loops, yarn over, pull through all of them. Then we're going to put a double crochet in each of the next 3, not missing the one directly behind. 1, 2, and 3. Leaving the last single crochet in front of the chain space free. Now we start with the treble on this side, come back around, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2 twice, hold the last loop, yarn over, double crochet into that last single crochet. Now you should know where you are because the chain spaces are stacked, so you know that there's still one more stitch here. Pull up a loop, complete the first part of the double crochet, yarn over, pull through 2 and leave it so you've got 3 loops on your hook, and then close them off together. And you carry on. Chain 1, start again, move across past the chain space to the first single crochet and start with the double crochet, yarn over twice, down to the 3rd one, an incomplete treble. Oops, I'm going to drop my hook. So complete that, come behind and put a double crochet in each of the next 3, 2 and 3, and now we have to yarn over, treble, front post treble back around here to finish that little V, what looks like a V, and anchor it into the final single crochet before the chain space with a partial double crochet, yarn over, pull through everything. Okay, and that's the sequence. So the next action now is to come over here and start a new one over here into this group over here. Okay, so just keep an eye where you are so that you can see what you're supposed to do next. Alright, so we're going to do all the way down, do that all the way down, and your final front post treble double crochet will happen way over on the end, and it will leave you with only 1 stitch to make. There will be 1 single crochet left here for you to work into, because you will have made a front post double crochet together, front post treble double crochet together in this area. So why don't we all get to here and we'll do these last ones together. I've just decided to keep going and let you watch while you're working too. So I've made my chain 1. I need to go into that first stitch after the chain space and make the double crochet component, down for the front post treble component. Oops, I dropped it, but I'll do it again. Start with a double crochet, down with the treble, holding back 1 loop from each of those 2 stitches leaves me 3 loops on my hook. Come to the back and make the double crochet behind. 1, 2 and 3. Now come back to close off this little V with the front post treble component. Hold the last loop into the last single crochet for the double crochet part, close off together. Chain 1, and I'm on my final repeat now. So we start with the double crochet component, yarn over, then we go 1, 2, 3. Now you've got 6 double crochet at this end, but we're still using the 3rd one. Okay, even though there's 6, I want you to still use the 3rd one. Alright, I'll close that off, go back, make a double crochet in the next 3. 1, 2 and 3. And now we're going to finish that V. We're going to come back around with the front post treble component, hold the last loop, make a double crochet in the next stitch. Normally this is the stitch that's in front of the chain spaces over here, but here, because it's the end, it's the second last stitch into that with the double crochet component and close off that whole stitch. And that's why the instructions now say 1 double crochet in the last stitch, which is right there. Okay, and that finishes the row. Now you'll notice that we have a complete V at this end. It's a bit hard to see, I guess, with my colours, but at the start we only have the start of the V, or the second component I should say. The trouble with some patterns like this is had we started the V right here, it would have pulled your end in again. Now we had a bit of that with the treble, the post stitches down here where it pulled in a little bit, and that's one thing, but we have the stitch work here, you see, so that can straighten up. So we decided to leave this one off here so that we didn't create too much of a pull, because it would have had to come straight off this turning chain or starting stitch if you made a starting stitch. So I realised I was a bit too high there. So, you know, that's why we left it off. But when your blanket is on a bed and it's a full size, whether it's a wrap or a shawl or whatever, a scarf, whatever it is, that's not going to show. There's just so much beautiful detail that little things like that won't show, so I wouldn't worry too much. Okay, so once you're at the end of your row, you only need to chain 1 and to turn. So we are back now to the wrong side of our work, as I can tell from my little blue loop down there, which is obviously going to have to move up. All right, have a go at that row. Rewind if you need to have another look at it, but it's, once you get the rhythm, it's not difficult, but just stop and look back. If you're not seeing these V's across these groups of 5 double crochet, then you've got your placement wrong. You also need to be absolutely sure you've got 3 double crochet in between them, okay? Otherwise your stitch count will be out. Okay, and also put those little chain 1s in between, otherwise the work will pull in a bit, and we don't want that. We want them nice and straight, as mine is like that. Okay, all right, we'll catch up together again for row 5. Row 5 is just single crochet row. We start by putting a single crochet into the same stitch that the turning chain is in, 1 single crochet in there, and then 1 single crochet into every one of the stitches underneath. There should be 5 of them, so you will end up with a total of 6 single crochet at the beginning of this side. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6. That's my turning chain. Okay, now we are just going to make a chain 1, skip the chain 1 that we made in between. Remember how we put a chain 1 in between each of those V's? Skip it, and then 1 single crochet in each of the next 5 stitches. Now you've got to be a bit careful here about where those stitches are. 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5. I almost went into my chain. I don't know if you saw me do that. That is not a stitch, that's a chain right there. You see that? That's a chain. That's not a stitch. You need to come over here to where this front post treble double crochet thing is. Okay, so come over to that and make your 5, 2, 3, 4 and 5. We reach the next chain space, chain 1 and move across. So just that whole reminder about the fact that when you're working from behind, your loops are on the side you're not accustomed to them being. Okay, so your repeat is really simple. So just keep going, chain 1, single crochet in the next 5 all the way down to the other end until you have to make one final chain 1 and a single crochet in each of the last 5 stitches, because remember we've only got 5 at this end. So you'll finish here, the repeat finishes here, chain 1, final chain 1 across the top, 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5, and your 5th stitch will be into that turning chain if you have a turning chain. So that, don't forget that one, you must have 5 at this end. But we did, yes we did start with 6 at this end, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6 before my chain. There's my chain right there. Okay, that's an easy one to do. When you get to the end, I need you to make a chain 2 and turn, and I'll catch you for round 6. Moving on to row 6, we need to turn the work after that end chain 2 so that we are back onto the good side, the front side of our work. Right. Now our note here, row 6 says that there again those 2 intricate stitches. So basically it's telling us that we're going to be making some more of these. Now row 6 is similar to row 4. It's basically the same thing. It's just one slight difference is that we will be using the center of the 3 double crochet we made in the previous 2 rows below. Before we put it into the center of the 5, but we only have 3 double crochet in between these little V's. Remember, the others are the combined stitches. So just making sure for placement that when we do the front post treble component of these stitches, that it goes into the center of those 3 double crochet. So we must not get confused. All right, let's just get kicked off, and then I'll leave you to finish it by yourselves. So we start with the chain 2, which is the first double crochet. We put a double crochet into each of the next 3, just like before. 2 and 3, leaving the final single crochet free so we can use it. There's my chain space, and we start all over again with the front post treble first, the treble first, which goes around the 3rd double crochet here, 1, 2, 3, just to kick us off, 1 and pull through 2 twice, and then the double crochet component into that final single crochet before the chain space, and then close it all off together. Now we've done lots of these in the previous 2 rows below, so I don't have to do it too much of this. Now we're going to start the repeat. All right, so we chain 1, we skip the chain space right there, stacked up again, and we make the DC front post treble first. So we start in the next stitch, which is on the other side of the chain space. We make the double crochet component, then the treble component into the 3rd double crochet after the chain space down below here. See, there's 3 of them, so we do it there just like I said at the beginning, 1, 2, and then close that off together. All right, now we're going to put 1 double crochet into each of the next 3 stitches, again working behind, making sure you find them all. There's the last one. I need to hold that one, and here are the 3, 1, 2, 3, and that's the last one. I don't want to touch that one. So 1 there, 2 and 3, and now we finish the second part of the stitch coming across back to this center point here. All right, so we start with the treble component, 2 yarn over, come back around that same double crochet, yarn over, pull through 2 twice, then do the double crochet component into the last single crochet before my chain space, like that. Okay, so that's the repeat, easy. Chain 1, skip the chain space, start with the double crochet component, then the front post treble component around the center of those 3 double crochet in between that V, yarn over, pull through 2 twice, yarn over, pull through the remaining 3 stitches. Then we put a double crochet in the next 3. So the only difference here really is just making sure you get your placement right. Right, so I'll leave you to go on with that, but you're getting the same shaping in exactly the same alignment. The middle double crochet every time. Here it was the middle of 5, here it is the middle of 3. It's the only thing I need you to be sure of. Right, and you'll get to the other end and do exactly the same as we did back here, where your final V will finish right in this second last stitch, right, leaving you here in this second last stitch, leaving you 1 stitch to make before you turn. Okay, and you will just chain 1 and turn. You'll have to make the double crochet in that last stitch. Please don't forget that. So after you've finished everything, you still need that double crochet in the last stitch. Then you chain 1 and turn. Alright, and we'll catch up again for row 7. Row 7 begins after we've made the chain 1. I'm just reinforcing the message here. There was the last combined stitch, the treble double crochet combined together, and there's that final double crochet into my last stitch, and then I made a chain 1, and now we turn back to the wrong side again. And this row is just a single crochet, chain 1 again. So single crochet into that first stitch where the chain is, and then 1 in each of the next 5, 2, so for a total of 6, 4, 5 and 6. Oopsie. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6. Now we chain 1, we skip the chain space, and we make a single crochet in each of the next 5 again. Now we did this, it's basically, it is the same as, I think it was round 5. I shouldn't rely on my memory, but we've done this before. So it's just 1 single crochet in each of the stitches below, chain 1, bridging the chain 1, and a single crochet in each of the next 5 again. So that's an easy one to do, so I'll leave you with it. When you get to the end, you need a chain 2 to turn. Alright, so I'll leave you with that. Nice and easy. Chains above the chains. Oops, I've got to work away some tails. Chain space, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 single crochet. Chain on top of the chain, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, very easy. Let's get together again for row 8. So row 8 will be exactly the same as row 6 in a minute, but first I just want to make sure that you got a single crochet into that last stitch, which was for me the chain 2 space. Please make sure you've got that extra stitch before you do your chain 2 and turn. Alright, and now row 8 is going to be just exactly the same as row 6, this one here, because and row 4 is the same, except as I pointed out in row 6, the difference is that where you land to put your treble components, your front post stitches, which is into the middle of this group of 3 double crochet you have between each of the V's. 1, 2, 3, you need to use the middle one. So the only reason I keep belabouring the point is that there were 5 down here when we first started to set up, but now we've got 3. So round 8 is exactly the same as round 6. So we'll get that one done, chain 1 and turn, and we'll reconvene for row 9. And finally row 9, which just making sure that you've got that chain 1 on the end to turn with. Turn around to the reverse side again, and all we're doing in this row is putting a single crochet in every stitch, including the very first one, and every chain space. Okay, so that'll finish off this section nice and tidily. So just when you get to a chain space, just put a single crochet right into it. Oops, I split my yarn. Okay, that's it. And then use this as your count as well, because you should have 5 stitches between the chain spaces. So you can be counting in groups of 6 when you put that single crochet into the chain space. Except at one end, the beginning end, you will have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Remember, because they are uneven sides, so one side has 6 stitches and the other has 5. But for the rest of it, it's all 5 plus the chain space, so you can kind of use that instead of stitch markers to make sure you've got everything you need. Alright, nice and easy. That finishes up Follow the Leader by Mary, and the next thing we need to do is take a little bit of time to put our Across the Miles section back in between to separate our stitch work. So I'll just flip this back over for a minute, because Across the Miles is placed from the right side on top of a completed section. So 5 rounds of this, 5 rows I should say, of this up here, and then we'll reconvene for part 5. And don't forget to fasten off and secure the ends at the end of this, unless you're continuing your yarn, in which case you'll need to make a final chain 1 and turn before you continue with ATM. Okay, have fun.